What's going on, everybody? Welcome
Aye.
to Let's Talk Fantasy Football, because it's late and I gotta keep myself awake. Welcome to the Let's Talk Fantasy Football show, where my lovely wife, myself, and David Wright tell you everything you need to know about fantasy football,
Who'd you lose to?
or at least what we need to not talk about. Which league? I'm in a lot. I only actually lost one main.
Who'd you lose to?
What are you talking about?
Who'd you lose to?
So welcome
7-0. Who'd you lose to?
I see you changed your name.
I'm just asking you who you lost to.
Lost to Nathan.
Oh, Nathan is good. Nathan beat me last week.
Lost to Nathan. What's up, Nicole?
Hey.
So there was a ton that happened today in the NFL with the trade deadline and everything. Oops, I don't know what. Okay, there we go.
Wow.
Sorry, I clicked the button and didn't know what happened. So we're just going to jump right into it. Instead of the weekly fantasy recap, we're just going to give you a weekly recap of what the heck happened today. So, Ash, go ahead and take on over.
All right. I have a list of trades that have happened. We're only going to talk about offense because defense doesn't really impact fantasy-wise. And there's been plenty of other shows on today that have talked about all the moves. The roundtable, I think, kind of hit everything, so that was pretty cool. One of the trades that didn't happen today, but that has already happened, is Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers, which seemed like a real big win for Christian McCaffrey. It was a little, I know we talked about, is that going to be good? Is that going to be bad? So far, it seems really good if you have Christian McCaffrey, because he threw a touchdown, ran a touchdown in, caught a touchdown pass. So he's just out there being the quarterback, running back, receiver, everything you could dream of. I think he scored like 35 fantasy points or something crazy.
You know something? As soon as that trade happened, I went and bet the Niners to win the Super Bowl. So I currently have a Niners Super Bowl ticket.
We need to
really
work
like
on
that
your
pick.
adjectives. Good. Good.
Yeah, I think he's a little more than good.
Amazing, spectacular, fantabulous. The best I've ever seen in my entire life. Never seen better. Everyone was real worried about Christian McCaffrey being broken. He is not broken. He is back better than ever. I don't want to talk too much because he might hear me and then he might get hurt. So, all right. Another one that is not necessarily something that is impactful this season, but if you're in a dynasty, and speaking of, here comes Kyle to talk about who I'm going to bring up right now, is Calvin Ridley. If you have Calvin Ridley in a dynasty, I really like this for you because Calvin Ridley just upgraded at quarterback. So if you ended up getting, if you're in a redraft league, it doesn't really matter. But moving forward, I think he is in a much better situation now.
Yep.
What did he say?
Nicole said, question for later in Dynasty, do you keep the players still, or is it different? Yes. So Dynasty, you just took over a Dynasty team. Everybody on your team, you are going to keep forever until either you drop them or trade them. You still keep them even if they're traded to a different team. Yes.
He's on his bench.
Kyle has him in Dynasty.
That's smart. The other one, which I think the Lions are the biggest idiots in the NFL right now, is they traded TJ Hawkinson. I'm obsessed with TJ Hawkinson because he's an Iowa tight end, and I just love me some Iowa tight ends. To me, TJ Hawkinson is like top 5 tight end in the league, and tight ends, they are Kelsey and everybody else, and Hawkinson is in at least at like top 5. I would put him at top 5. And then there's a big drop off after him in those like Mark Andrews, Kittle, those type of players. And he's super young and he's really talented. So for fantasy purposes, I don't know. I think Hawkinson gets better because for whatever reason, Jared Goff avoided him like the plague. Even when a lot of the players on their team were hurt, he still wasn't giving Hawkinson the ball, which was always really mind-boggling to me. I never understood that. So because I have him in a few leagues, so I'm excited that he's moving on to a different team. I'm hoping to see his production go up. I just think the Lions are really stupid. And they traded him within the division. I mean, that's not fantasy related, but it's just dumb. The Lions are stupid. Anyway.
What are your thoughts on TJ, David?
Honestly, I kind of feel like it's a lateral move. You know, Rudolph had a lot of success there for a minute, but that offense is built very much like the Detroit offense. You know, you have a couple stud running backs, one who likes to get hurt, but a very solid and capable backup, and a stud receiver. I mean, they have weapons. I don't think his situation is improving as much as some people might think it will. Now, I could be totally wrong, and all of a sudden they start drawing up game plans to go to Hawkinson, but I don't think his situation improved. And I do understand the rationale of the organization wherein they have all these weapons, right? They have Jameson Williams, who they're waiting to get back from IR. So you're going to have Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, DeAndre Swift, and Jamal Williams. You don't need Hawk. What you need is a really good blocking tight end, and then to go work on your defense. You know, put some bodies behind Hutch so that he can't be double and triple teamed. I get it. I don't like trading him within the division, but at the same time, like I just said, I do feel like it's a lateral move. I don't think that every time they play Minnesota, they're going to be like, oh God, here comes Hawk, and they're going to get shredded by him. There are plenty of other names on that Minnesota roster who they can get torched by. That's kind of where I'm sitting on it right now. As far as the picks they got and the compensation they got, you know, that's yet to be seen because one of the picks was yet to be determined, correct?
I didn't even look at the compensation. I saw.
Yeah, one of them is going to be one of them is going to be contingent on something.
It could go up as high as the second rounder, correct?
No, that's you're thinking of the
Calvin Ridley one.
Calvin Ridley trade.
Okay, sorry.
There's a lot of stipulations in that one. If he plays next year, we were talking about that earlier. If he plays next year, if they decide to extend him, then it could go all the way from the 5th all the way to a 2nd, depending on.
Kyle and Alex look exactly the same. They're like twins. I just kind of.
I could see it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Canadian land boys all are the same person. It's fine.
So I think where you're gonna see, I do think it is a step up a little bit for Hawk. I don't think it's like puts him in the next level of tight ends or anything like that. I don't think it drops him a level. I agree. It's kind of unilateral. What I think it impacts the most actually is going to be Dalvin Cook's receiving game. I think he's going to take a lot of the dump passes and screen passes that run to Cook, and they're going to use him a little less and use more of Hawk in that position because he's a very good screen catcher, dump off guy. That's what the tight end is. So, and he's very talented. You're not going to get a guy like that, give up a 2nd round pick and not utilize him. So I think that's where it's going to be more impactful is I think Cook is actually going to downgrade a little bit from what he has. I think it impacts Cook more than it impacts Hawkinson overall as a fantasy in fantasy terms of what happens now. And I think it bumps Amon-Ra and Swift in Detroit because now you don't have Hawk taking those exact same things we were talking about.
I feel like Hawk was
Andrew has feelings about this.
So Andrew says he disagrees only because it's in division, and Hawkinson could eat up yards with only 4 or 5 catches because he's open in certain circumstances. I agree completely. I mean, Hawkinson is talented. He's better than Irv Smith. He's better than the tight ends they've had. So I think it is a bump up a little, but You're right. I mean, they already have Justin Jefferson. They have Adam Thielen. They have Dalvin Cook. Like those guys are still super talented. They're going to get the ball. There's only one football. They all got to use it. You know what I mean? I personally think what it steals from is Dalvin Cook, and I think DeAndre Swift gets a boost for the Lions because of the exact same thing.
Once he gets back healthy,
Eventually,
if ever, come back, DeAndre, please.
Who you got next?
So another one that wasn't traded today but has been traded is Kadarius Toney, who all of a sudden miraculously is never going to be hurt again because he's going to play for the Chiefs. This makes me – I already never knew who to play for wide receivers for the Chiefs, and now this just adds another person into the mix of I don't know outside of Juju, because it seems like him and Juju are – like Patrick Mahomes and Juju are on like a good where you can kind of count on Juju every week to get you some points as like a wide receiver 2, 3. But when you're looking at like Hardman, Valdez, Scantling, now you have Kadarius Toney, who could very well be very talented. But I don't know because he hated the Giants and didn't want to be there. So I guess it just makes it harder to know which Kansas City receivers are going to do good, which ones to play, because I already have an issue with that. And then I don't know if Kadarius Toney's like points go up that much because there's only one football. So I don't know. What do you think?
So for me, Toney is taking over. He's going to be a better MVS, in my opinion. He's a speedster. Juju's great in the slot and is going to be the slot guy. And the middle, him and Kelsey will be the middle of the field, the tough catches guys, whereas MVS and Kadarius are going to be the outside burners, in my opinion. I think he steals a little from MVS, a little from Mecole Hardman, and he kind of takes that role. I definitely think he's massive upgrade from what he was in Detroit. I mean, you went from Daniel Jones and the Giants to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. There is only one ball, but in Kansas City, there's more balls because it's Patrick Mahomes.
True.
There's only one ball in Minnesota because it's Kirk Cousins. There's a lot of balls. The Chiefs.
There's only one ball, but Patrick Mahomes can literally throw it behind his back, off the back.
Much better looking balls.
Yeah, so I like Kadarius Toney. I think it's a massive upgrade. Just kind of like always when player goes to a new team, temper expectation for the first couple weeks, unless your name's Christian McCaffrey. That dude is a plug and play apparently,
which we kind of thought would be the case.
But yeah, in a couple weeks, even like fantasy playoffs, Kadarius Toney might win people some championships going down the stretch for whoever was lucky enough to get him.
Could happen. I love it and I hate it. I drafted Toney in all of the redraft leagues this year. Eventually had to give up, move off, and now they pull this. And obviously it's going to take some time, but I do think that if Patrick Mahomes hadn't had Tyreek Hill in that role already throughout his career, I don't think this would be as big of a deal. He is literally stepping in to replace Patrick Mahomes' favorite routes. They now have a weapon who can take a 2-yard crossing route and take it to the house because the rest of their offense can stretch the field. We saw it against the Bills. Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill created that 13-second miracle because of how good they were and the way they drew up plays over there. Now giving Patrick Mahomes another person who can run routes the way Tyreek did is scary. And I do think that later now there are questions of character. Is he a student of the game? Is he going to get over there, get a playbook, and not pull his nose out of it for 2 weeks? Is he going to learn the system? Is he going to mesh with the rest of the team? If he does that, then I absolutely agree with Sid, and I think that Kadarius Toney could win championships for people this year.
I'm really curious if his character changes now that he's on the Chiefs, because he was very vocal about not wanting to be on the Giants for the last 2 years. So I'm wondering if now that he got what he wanted and he got moved out of there, if all that character stuff kind of goes away and he ends up doing good.
Hey, AB was looking like the most solid citizen in the NFL for a brief while the team was winning, and he had a quarterback who was targeting him.
Yeah.
So I do think that in the short term they can get him engaged.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens in the long term.
For sure. Let me see. What else do we got? So Hines and Zach Moss just like swapped, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was those two that just swapped. I don't have any of them in fantasy, and I don't know.
Who's this?
Zach Moss and Nyheim Hines.
Yeah. I mean, they traded backups.
Yeah. So I wouldn't really expect anything more. Yeah.
But each team got, so they're very opposite. Nyheim Hines, very quick, great pass catcher. Zach Moss is who they put into the game for Buffalo to just go ground and pound and take the load off of Devin Singletary, it seems like. I mean, when games get out of reach, Moss always comes in, and what should be a great game script for your starting running back becomes a great game script for Zach Moss. He comes in and gets garbage yards all the time. But I mean, he's not spectacular. But Buffalo got another pass catching back. So, I mean, I don't know if you're attached or you're close, but say goodbye to James Cook. He just became irrelevant, at least for this.
I thought James Cook had a pretty decent game this last week. And I thought if the Bills were going to go get a running back, they were going to get a bigger name at running back. Like I thought they were going to get a bigger.
Yeah, I do think they probably tried.
I think there was rumors they called for Kamara.
I was just saying, I thought they were going to go try to get like a big name guy, or I don't know.
I mean, raise your hand if you're
Browns, or even like Madison is better.
I was waiting for Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
If Kareem Hunt had gone to Buffalo and they could have worked out all the contracts, the picks, whatever. I mean, that's a solid 2-year window for Buffalo right there. Just go win back-to-back Super Bowls. No one is going to stop you. That was mind blowing. I don't. Maybe Cleveland just didn't want to give him up to an AFC team. I don't know. Maybe Buffalo tried to lowball it, but I mean, Buffalo and the Rams failed today. They both failed because the player they needed was right there, requesting a trade from his team. So
we're gonna get to the Packers in a second. You just hold on.
Sorry. No, you're good. No, I was saying.
Nash.
Jump the gun.
So my take on that specific trade, I actually think Devin Singletary gets the bump overall because you took the same type of back away and you gave another receiving back. So that boosts Singletary for me, in my opinion, because now it's not Zach Moss that's going to come in because you're not going to lean on Nyheim Hines to be your ground and pound guy. That's still going to be Singletary. So he should take over those carries and be better going forward. And then for Indy, I think Jonathan Taylor gets a bump because your backup just downgraded. You're not going to put Zach Moss in to take pass catching away from Jonathan Taylor like you would have with Nyheim Hines. I think so. I think the two starters got the bump versus anything. And I agree, James Cook just fell off the map. He was my waiver pickup this week, and now he's not.
Yeah.
Who was?
James Cook.
He looked good. We were watching, and I was like, oh, they're giving this guy another chance because week 1 he looked terrible. He had that one fumble, two fumbles. He just looked bad, and I was like, oh, this kid's never got a chance to come back out again. And then I thought he looked pretty good. We
He
were
did.
watching him. We're like, oh, hey, he's like doing all right. And then this happened, and I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, I had James Cook was going to be one of my big fantasy waiver pickups this week.
Yep.
And then I knew you couldn't hear me. I was trying to get it back in there.
Sorry.
So I was, and then that trade happened. I'm like, well, there goes everything I thought about James Cook. I mean, maybe you can get him for this week if you need a running back this week. I mean, we're going to get into that later, but Nyheim Hines got to learn the playbook. But going forward, Hines is going to steal a lot of what Cook was going to thrive at.
Do you think that now you're saying you think Jonathan Taylor gets the bump? I would agree because Nyheim Hines is a pass catcher and they just brought in a ground and pound. Do you think that Deion Jackson, how do you see this going? Do you think they're going to use Moss to cut Jonathan Taylor's ground and pound and then utilize Deion as the pass catching back? I think they might be worried about Jonathan Taylor's health. And I don't know, my tinfoil hat's beeping because why do you go get a ground and pound guy behind Jonathan Taylor? Get rid of your pass catcher. You got Deion Jackson. I think they're worried about Jonathan Taylor, and I think you see Jonathan Taylor's ground and pound opportunities decrease.
So I initially thought, my first thought on it was because they got a pick, right? They got Moss and a pick and gave up Hines. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was Moss and a pick.
So I truly think they were just trying to get the pick, and Buffalo's like, we need to unload a running back because we have too many. You're losing a running back. Here's a backup running back, essentially, that you can use. I don't think Zach Moss is going to be used at all, personally, in Indy, because they like Jonathan Taylor so much. I mean, maybe you're right, though. Maybe the injuries matter, but Jonathan Taylor's too talented to lose touches to Zach Moss, in my opinion.
I don't know and this is where fantasy meets real football.
Yeah.
If I am the coaching staff of Indy and I have this unbelievable talent, Jonathan Taylor, who's having injury problems, I mean, I would try now he's on a pitch count. I mean, we saw it with in the Cowboys Hard Knocks. Zeke is on a career-long pitch count now.
Mm-hmm.
Like for the rest of his career, he is on a pitch count. They are moderating his carries because there is a shelf life. There's a number that they don't ever want to get to with Zeke before they've gotten the years out of him. So I don't know. It kind of makes me worried that they might have a three-headed monster over there, and you put in Zach Moss to go pound through the tackles at the goal line. That scares me.
Yeah, I can see it. Curious to see how it plays out.
Sorry, tinfoil hat moment.
All right. Speaking of teams that have lots of running backs, the Dolphins got rid of Edmonds to Denver. So if you held on to Edmonds for this long, props to you, because I sure didn't. I was really high on Edmonds. I thought he was going to be the guy in Miami, and I was dead wrong because now he's getting traded to Denver, who has really weird running back situation that's happening over there. They still have Gordon, who I thought maybe they would get rid of before the trade deadline, but didn't. And now they have Edmonds, so Mike Boone's hurt, I guess, so you kind of lost him. I'm not running to go get Edmonds to play him in fantasy still because I don't trust him and I hate him. I thought he was going to be great, and he's not. Sorry, I was reading what Nicole said.
This is another, to me, this is almost the same thing as the Zach Moss. Mm-hmm. The Broncos gave up Bradley Chubb, got a first, and Edmonds. Mm-hmm. The return was the first round pick, not Edmonds.
They're just trying to unload Edmonds.
I think they were unloading Edmonds because they also traded for Jeff Wilson.
And then the Dolphins decided, oh, wait, we like having 500 running backs. Can we now get Jeff Wilson?
Little tidbit for anybody, because I haven't heard many people talk about it. Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert both played for the Niners. You know who coached the Niners last year? Mike McDaniel. Must have loved those two running backs because he brought them both with him to Miami now. So I think that's the thing to look. I think they were just trying to unload Chase to get Jeff Wilson.
To get the guys they wanted.
So I'm not looking too much into the Edmonds to Denver thing for fantasy relevance just yet.
I don't know. I don't know about that because, I mean, we have literally had to sit here and talk. Dude, Denver is the new Dallas. All right. For the last 20 plus years, we can absolutely just suck. Yet everybody has to talk about us every week. We have to sit here and talk about when we're the worst offenses every single week.
And we have to watch them on primetime television every week, too.
Now, I do think that Denver wanted Chase Edmonds. I think that was kind of a cherry on top. Obviously, they got the pick. But they've been out there. Come on, they went and got Latavius Murray from, the gym. I mean, they have been looking for a running back. They're like, okay, well, damn. I guess all the guys we just picked up all suck. Hey, Melvin, you want to start? So, I mean, yes, I absolutely think that Edmonds is going to take a huge jump over every running back that Denver has because they don't believe in any of their running backs and they hate Melvin Gordon. So I do think that will be fantasy relevant, but
I'm going to stick to my preseason. I don't think Chase Edmonds is as good as you guys think he is.
Oh, I don't think he's good. I'm not getting him on anything because he just disappointed me all this time. And he scored a few touchdowns. And I was like, oh, here we go. Here he comes. And then absolutely disappeared. And I was like, you know what? I hate this man.
You can never spite Ash in fantasy football.
No.
Once you spite her once,
yeah,
you're on the hate list. You can never come back.
Christian McCaffrey? Alvin Kamara? No. There's a lot of people. I'm going to have no one to draft pretty soon because I'm like, you? No. You? No. You? Najee? No. Not after this year.
There.
So there's a lot of people. Unless you play for the Cowboys, then I love you, no matter what you do.
Real quick on the comments, some of the comments.
I was just about to go there. Cool.
Yeah, just Nicole asked if we take weather conditions into account. Definitely game day. If you wake up, it's always on game day. You got to just wake up, check out the weather and everywhere, and see
especially if you're trying to decide between certain, a lot of times I'll have 3 receivers, 4 receivers I'm trying to pick between, and I'm like, if it's downpouring, I'm not picking the guy who's playing in the rain because they're not gonna pass the ball a bunch. So I definitely look into weather. I mean, there comes a point where it's if I have Tyreek Hill and he's playing in a monsoon, I'm still gonna play Tyreek Hill, but
stuff like that definitely. But yeah, it definitely does play a factor game day. What up, Nate?
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying what up to Nate because that was the next one.
The other note on the weather for me, Nicole, would be cold weather teams hosting games later in the year to warm weather teams.
And vice versa.
Yep. We saw it when Buffalo went down to Miami, or was it Tampa? And they didn't have fans on the sideline. Yeah, it was Miami. When Miami beat Buffalo, the players were complaining about heat exhaustion. So it definitely goes both ways. Just kind of check out the geography of the situation.
You see Miami Stadium? I didn't realize that till this year. Miami Stadium, the home team's in the shade the whole time. The away team's in the sun the whole time. It is significantly hotter on the away
30 degrees difference
sideline than it is on. So a team like Buffalo, who's cold weather, playing on 30 degrees hotter than in the shade in Miami. I mean, you saw those guys; they were gassed, they were tired, they were cramping.
Oh, 100%. They were.
It was terrible. Oh yeah.
Nicole said, "Is anyone running up that hill, Taysom Hill, or other hills?" I'm not running up any hills.
I'm not doing anything with Taysom.
I tried to run up a hill last night. Actually, I proposed a trade to the Foobs himself. He came and visited in the comments last week, and I know how much he loves Rachaad White, so I actually proposed to trade Rachaad White for Tyreek Hill.
How'd that go for you?
It didn't.
Yeah.
Nicole's next question was: Are rookies looked as much as, say, one who is experienced but injured, often or questionable? I'm not sure what you mean, Nicole. So I'm gonna move along. Try and clarify. I'm just not understanding it. We have Blurpay. Blurpay, is that right? I think that's how he said it. Blurpay says my team is Jalen Hurts, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, ETN, Antonio Gibson, Derrick Henry. What?
How?
And Isaiah Pacheco. Wide receivers: Pittman, D Hop, Amon-Ra, Wandale. Tight. Okay, so you just went running back heavy early. Yeah. Wandale, tight ends Waller and Taysom Hill. Any trade ideas? PPR 10 team, 4-4 record, stacked at running back. Okay,
try to unload some of those running backs.
Just traded Terry, Lockett, and Foreman for Henry. Oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, got it. 2 flex league, so I can run with Cook, Kamara, ETN, and Henry all together. I mean, love that. D Hop and Amon-Ra. Trade suggestions. I would honestly unload a running back for a couple receivers. I just think you're so stacked. At running back, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I mean, yeah, I don't even
try to trade like ETN for like.
I would almost trade Cook with the Hawkinson thing if he's going to steal catches in a PPR. Maybe you're getting out of. I mean, it's still gonna be Dalvin Cook. Like, I'm not saying that he's gonna like drop off or anything, but you could. His name value right now is massive. You can go get a number 1 receiver. Maybe I don't even know. Honestly, I think
your team's good. I wouldn't even worry about trading. If you made that trade for Cook and you were 4-4 before that, I think you are gonna win a lot moving forward.
What do you think, David?
The move I make here is for a tight end.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You can go one of 2 ways here. You can package a couple of those running backs, and I'm still not giving up on Pittman. We'll get to that in the waiver segment. D Hop, phenomenal. Amon-Ra, in and out, up and down, great talent, but has injury history. So I would mix and match all of that, and you either make a Godfather offer, like you just did for Henry, and you go after one of the top. Kelsey, Mark Andrews, definitely not this week, definitely not next week. He's going to be on a bye. Or you go for one of these lower tier guys that hasn't quite broken out into that top tier. You got Freiermuth out there, who I'm still a believer in, especially after the Chase Claypool move.
Oh, we are going to get there.
Greg D. He's being very consistent right now. I would make a move to go get a tight end because you're very well-rounded. The one thing I would caution you about is to check all of your bye weeks. I'm trying to do it in my head right now, but that's beyond me. Check your bye weeks because it's not a bad idea to be that deep going through the heart of all the bye weeks. Obviously, we have the 16 bye coming up this week, and then we got a couple try not to swear here. It's a family program. A couple bad bye weeks in the future. So definitely check all that. But you've got the bullets, man. Go make a move.
You need to learn some more adjectives.
I know adjectives. They're just not allowed on the program.
I say Cook already had his bye because I traded for Cook in a league and realized that he already had his.
Amon-Ra, so did Derrick Henry.
Yeah, so those are real nice.
It's the other pieces that you would need to put in for those guys.
Mm-hmm. You can be like me and just fall victim to the bye week and just embrace it. And hope for the best. That's me this week. So if you play me in any league this week, you're welcome because I'm a Steelers, Cowboys, Homer, and they're both on a bye week. So
Blurpy or Hurts?
Sure.
Oh
no, he was just saying or
Hurts already had his bye.
Yep.
Yeah. So a lot of his really good players have already had.
You're looking real solid, man. Tight ends just your only hole. So if you can make a move, honestly, I would prefer to go for a Greg D or a Fryermuth level tight end, maybe a Hawk, and not give up too much for it to somebody who's super running back needy.
Yeah. Honestly, like they're 4-4 right now, but that's not terrible. If you make it to the playoffs, I feel like you're gonna have a good run. That's some talent.
Mm-hmm. Nathan said, "How valuable should tight ends be going forward?"
It's Kelsey and everybody else.
That doesn't tell you how
So
valuable.
unless you're gonna get Kelsey, I wouldn't value getting anybody else. Unless you're gonna take Kelsey
Mark
in
is
the
going to be just
second
fine.
round.
He'll be back in a couple weeks. Stop saying that.
I don't value tight ends, and I still won't moving forward. Because my thing is, most people don't have. One person has Travis Kelsey. Everybody else is kind of looking the same as everybody else. So I don't know. The league that I didn't have a great pick at tight end, I got Higbee, and I mean, he's not make or breaking my team either way, so I'm not regretting. You know what I am regretting? Getting Darren Waller in like the 4th round in 2 leagues. That's what I am regretting. I wish I would have waited. So that's where I'm at on tight ends. I don't value it still.
You know what I'm regretting? Picking up David Njoku when Fryermuth got hurt and not realizing they were both on the same bye week this week.
Fun times.
I've been trying to fix it for 2 weeks. Haven't been able to.
Our rookies value. I think she's just saying like, so are you gonna value? In Dynasty?
Yes, they're more valuable than older players. Yes,
especially if they're injury prone.
They're more valuable than in redraft leagues, if that's what you're talking about. Yes. Sean giving you flowers for calling out Terry.
Well, yeah, because Terry got his quarterback back.
We talked about the bye weeks already.
Nathan
Sean said,
"Oops, sorry."
I was getting there. Sean said that his mother appreciates you not swearing, David. Nicole said,
"Okay, I got it."
Okay. He muted himself. Okay, perfect. There you go. Perfect.
You should stay like this for the whole show. Just kidding.
Nicole said, "I'm such a defensive player. It sucks that they get grouped on as a whole to be instead of individuals. Do you think that will change?" There are some leagues that run individual defensive players. You can play like that. Not a lot. It is a lot harder to get stats and stuff for like that. So there's definitely not a lot out there.
You
but
could
there
be
are some.
David and just completely disrespect the defense and kicker position by just not having either of them in your league. So at least you get to play something.
Yep.
It's okay. 3 leagues this week, I'm not going to have a defense because I refuse to drop the Dallas Cowboys defense. So because we are the best.
Yep.
Moving on.
He just said he needs to get Waller back, and then you'd be clutch. Yeah, Waller's struggling.
Yeah, Waller's a disappointment.
And then, all right, you were going to get to this, so go ahead, David.
Yeah, that was the one I wanted to hit up, was the Waller question. I still couldn't do it.
Me either.
We're this close. We're this close to that point where you might just have to cut ties and get zero return on your investment. But I don't think you're there. With the down week that Davante Adams had, the issues the Raiders are having, I think at some point he will have a good week or two and then offload quickly, sir. Offload quickly. That's what I would do if I were in your shoes. I would get another tight end in the meantime, sit on Waller, hope for a good week, and then move him as quickly as possible for whatever you can get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have Waller in a league, and last week I played Waller, and he got 0 points. Then I was like, "This is just what it is," because I don't have room on my bench to get another tight end, and I am not ready to drop him yet. So I just took the zeros. That was a fun time. I won anyway, but I knew my projection going into it, I was a lot better off than the person I was going against. So I just wrote it out. But I am like 1 week away from just dropping him because I have no room on my bench. He's not going on IR or anything. So his like back and forth of if he's going to play or not is killing me.
It also depends
1
on
week
your
away.
option. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm pretty sure he also has Travis Kelce
Get rid
in
of
said
him.
league. Pretty sure.
Is this a league wherein you have Travis Kelce, Nathan, and you're asking about Darren Waller? Is
Pretty
it?
sure.
Don't be spoiled.
I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure. I would cut him.
Was
for the
this
record.
was this a low key way to brag about your tight end
Yeah.
situation?
He's like, I beat Sydney today, and I'm going to go in there and tell them about how good my team is.
All right,
He
we got
beat me too.
another trade question from Marco Tucci. Should I trade away Mixon and Bateman to get Patterson, Algier, and T. Higgins? I'm 3-5 PPR. My running backs are Mixon, Kamara, Pierce, and my wide receivers are Pittman, Bateman, Dotson, Allen Robinson, and Josh Palmer. You guys have gone first a bunch. I'll go first. I personally would not do this trade. I don't trust the Falcons running backs as much. Patterson's, was good when he was playing, but I do think he's hit and miss too often. I like Mixon more than the Patterson-Algier combo. And I like T. Higgins. I'm a fan of T. Higgins. But Jamar Chase is always going to be the guy when healthy. And watching last night's game, it doesn't look like T. Higgins is going to be the guy or be able to produce a ton. I do think you're upgrading T. Higgins over Bateman for sure. I just think you're losing a lot mixed into the Patterson-Algier matchup. You do have Kamara and Pierce. I just prefer the 3 stud running backs. Man, it's tough. Sorry, I'm going back and forth literally in my head as I talk about this as to what I would do.
I would do it.
3 and 5 in a PPR. You probably need to make the move. Yeah, I would do it. I've talked myself into it. Yep, I would probably make the trade. I like Higgins more than Bateman, and you're going to be able to start him right away. Whereas you can start Kamara and Pierce at running back while you wait for the Patterson-Algier stuff to shake out. And that's why I would do it. Sorry. I did that all in my head while I was talking. So Ash said she would do it.
I would do it because you said T. Higgins. I was like, oh, I would do it. Also, you're 3 and 5, so whatever you're doing is not working. So you might as well shake it up. That's where I'm at. And this whole point in fantasy is if my team is not doing great, I'm willing to do almost basically any trade because whatever I'm doing is not working. So let's switch it up and try to make something happen here. You're low on Patterson. I like Patterson.
He's also on IR.
Yeah, but you get the Algier until the Patterson comes back, and I think when he comes back, it's going to be great. I like T. Higgins much more over Bateman because I like T. Higgins. I think Joe Burrow had a really crappy game last night, so I don't think I wouldn't base T. Higgins' production off of what happened last night. I think he's going to be great going forward. Mixon I like too, though. But, yeah, I would do it.
What you got, David?
Hard pass. Go
That's where I
look
started.
Go look at Mixon's schedule over the next couple weeks. This was supposed to be a smash game too against Cleveland. Didn't happen. Jamar Chase out. They're going to keep running Mixon. Now, how well the offensive line holds up and whether or not the passing game can take enough heat off of the running game is yet to be seen. But he has an amazing schedule for the next 4 weeks. What I don't like about this trade is you are already stacked at running back. You need wide receiver help. Why are you trading for 2 running backs and a second string wide receiver? Yes, Chase is out.
Higgins is better than.
Yes, we know you love Higgins. I know.
Yeah, but I was going to say, if Jamar Chase is out 6 to 8 weeks, that's almost fantasy playoffs.
I personally would not go after Cordero Patterson or Algier, giving up Mixon and Bateman. Bateman also has an amazingly favorable schedule late in the year, I believe. Obviously, I don't have it open in front of me. Go check Bateman's playoff schedule. Obviously, you're fighting to get into the playoffs right now. I just don't like that you're getting 2 running backs when you need wide receiver help. Like Sid said, you can start Kamara and Pierce. I do think Pittman will be up and down. Dotson, Palmer's gonna give you a good week this week. I would be going after more receiver help if you're going to give up somebody like Mixon right now.
Fair
And
enough.
that's what I think on that.
Yeah, I think T. Higgins is a massive upgrade over Bateman to your receiver help because Jamar Chase is going to be out until fantasy playoffs. So he's going to be the number 1 receiver on the Bengals offense until the fantasy playoffs. Just because Jamar Chase is out. How'd
that work out last night?
He still had 14 points in a bad game.
I know, but
in my head, that's what made me turn.
I'm saying that's right there on par with Pittman, Jahan Dotson when he comes back, Josh Palmer while he's filling in. You're not upgrading any of your receivers by getting T. Higgins. I would move Mixon. I would move Mixon and try and go a tier up. From all the receivers that are mentioned here, I would try and go a tier up. That's all I'm saying. Find somebody who's super running back needy and try and get a decent receiver from them that's a step above these guys who are only giving you 10 to 15 points per week. Go after, a 20, 25 point per week guy if you're going to give up Mixon, because Mixon is going to have a couple great weeks in the next month. I promise.
Yeah, I do agree with you, David, though. Like, I would look more to getting more wide receiver help than getting running back help. Like, I wouldn't even try to get Cordell Patterson at Algier. I would try to get better wide receivers. But with that specific trade, I would go Higgins. Also, just quick, and then you can get back to your questions. It's very rude how many of you were asking questions before I got to the best part of the trades today. But it's fine. We'll get to it eventually.
Anyway, I think...
You're doing this on purpose.
Just to put a wrap on what we just went over, the T. Higgins thing, I think you're undervaluing T. Higgins. I think the 14-point performance yesterday was the floor of T, where that's the average of the other ones. I think going forward over the next 5 weeks, we can go back and look at this. I think 10 to 14 is T. Higgins' floor, where his average is going to be closer to the 18-ish mark.
Can somebody pull up their schedule?
You said Mixon as a favorable matchup. I'm assuming
as well. Yeah, favorable rushing matchups. I'm asking about. I have Mixon and was offered trades for him, but I suffered through the first 6 weeks of the season because I was like, oh, now we have 4 or 5 solid weeks. I didn't suffer through that to give him up now. But the pass rush, because Joe Burrow is absolutely getting lit up right now.
Fair.
That game last night, if they're facing heavy pass rush over the next 3 weeks, then I don't think Higgins. Are they?
Yeah, the Panthers with Brian Burns, the Steelers with a healthy TJ Watt, and then the Titans who have a solid pass rush defense as well.
I don't
think it matters who they play. They're not going to use Mixon any more than they do.
No, we're talking about T. Higgins.
Oh. Well, I'm saying I don't think Mixon's production goes up that much more depending on who they play. I don't know what it is with the Bengals, but I feel like they just try to air it out no matter what.
Yeah, but to David's point, you're right. He doesn't have time to air it out because
they still try anyway.
Bags
they do it anyway. Joe Burrow just gets sacked.
All right.
I don't know why they don't use Mixon more. But I have Mixon in the league too. I wish they would use him more.
On to the next one. We have one from Lincoln was here. He does have 3 here, so I wasn't able to read this ahead of time. How much fab should I use to? What are you doing?
Stop doing that.
I'm not doing anything.
Yes, you are.
Real quick before you dive into that, I noticed a comment over on Facebook. Nicole never apologized for the questions. That's why we're here. Honestly, we don't care about all this stuff. We just love answering your questions. So keep them coming. I had to pop over to YouTube because a lot of these questions are super detailed, and I got to read it over here. So
yeah. So how much fab should I use on Brock Wright? Is it?
Yep.
Okay. 7 in my 1.5. Jeez, I can't read this. Tight end premium dynasty league. In total, tight ends get 2.5 points per reception. It's a 12-team league, and we drafted 32 rounds, so waivers are super dry. Gotcha, that's why. Okay. I'm feeling good about reaching Justin Fields in Dynasty Superflex leagues. I paid a 2023 late first and a Bateman, and my other quarterbacks are Tom Carr and Matt Ryan. So it's bad. Okay, gotcha. Was it dumb trading away Mark Andrews and CMC for Justin Jefferson and Zach Ertz? It's Dynasty 1.5. Now Mark Andrews is really valuable, but I still owned Kelsey. I was weak at wide receiver. Okay, so there's a bunch of questions here. David, were you able to follow all that?
Yep, I'm reading it as you went now. He had Kelsey and Mark Andrews, traded away Andrews for CMC for Justin Jefferson and Zach Ertz. Now, because this is the tight end premium league, I don't hate that. If you were really weak at wide receiver and you just pulled Justin Jefferson, I'm not mad about that. Yeah, hey, you rolled the dice. And I mean, obviously, Mark Andrews is hurt at the moment. As far as the fab on Brock Wright, because it's that tight end premium, I mean, I can't imagine like you said, the waivers are super dry. As much as it takes to get them, it's not every day that you have a tight end who becomes the number one tight end for their team. Now, I haven't watched Brock Wright play. I actually tried to ask Alex Loosemore during the roundtable to talk to me about Brock Wright because I wanted to know. He did have a good game against the Cowboys. I was looking him up earlier. It was a decent game, 50 yards, 4 catches. But if you're in a league that's so tight end centric, then I can't imagine, 20, 25%. I mean, you still have Kelsey, you said, and Zach Ertz. Kelsey just finished his bye. Zach Ertz. When is the Cardinals bye?
Should be coming up. They don't think they've had it.
I don't think they've had it.
I mean,
yeah, you're gonna have Zach Ertz on a bye. If you're super flex.
I have Zach Ertz.
You need tight ends is the bottom line, and when you have a tight end that just pops up as the number one tight end on their team, I think it's a decent move to make.
Yeah, the Cardinals bye is week 13, so they have a much later bye.
So you got a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, in that league, nobody's ever going to be dropping any of their tight ends. I doubt. Did he tell us how many teams?
12. But they drafted 32 rounds.
That's insane.
There's not going to be another starting tight end that pops up. I would probably, I don't know if we're ever even going to get to waivers tonight. I would probably go after Likely.
If he's available.
Yeah, probably not. Likely wasn't relevant until this week too. So, you got to go get them when those guys pop up in a league that is constructed like that. You just got to go get them. I mean, I don't know.
I agree. I think you nailed it. Yeah, I think you nailed the answer. That's pretty much. There's really not much to add to it. I agree. 25% sounds like the right number because you don't want to give it all, but he is. That's a premium pickup going forward in that type of league for sure. One last question, then we'll move on.
I don't get the answer.
Okay. Good.
No, it's fine.
No.
That's a dumb league. I would never do that.
That's your answer.
That's insanity. I would be so stressed out. Oh my god, I'd be stressed out. I'm stressed out reading this. Tight ends are that valuable? Absolutely not. I just went on a rant about how I don't value tight ends, and he's out here trying to get someone I've never heard of in my life.
That's David's younger brother. You didn't know that? Brock?
I was literally going to say something about that having the same thing. That's insanity. All
right, we'll let Ash answer this one. How does Jared Goff look going forward?
I don't.
How does Jared Goff look going forward? Ash,
Mhm.
Are
please.
we banking on Jared Goff looking really good going forward? 'Cause I wouldn't. I had Stafford, and then I had Goff, and then I got played by Goff because he went back to looking like
Goff.
Stafford, and then now I have Geno Smith. So you know what? I feel like there's plenty of other quarterbacks out there that are doing better than Jared Goff. I could be wrong though, because I argued with Cindy for like 30 minutes about who had the most interception as a quarterback, and then we looked it up, and I was wrong. So I don't know anything.
Ash with back-to-back stunner answers for
Josh
these questions.
Allen has more interceptions than
Herbert.
Herbert. You're wondering.
She tried to say Herbert throws a pick a game.
He only
Ash
has
is the
thrown
quarterback
4.
coach. If anybody out there has any concerns about quarterbacks, questions, message me. And if and when Ash goes to pick up a quarterback in any league, rest assured they will be concussed.
No, you want to hear how good I am
Injured.
at quarterbacks?
They
You
might
want to hear what
retire.
happened
I
to
don't know.
me? You want to hear what happened to me this week in quarterbacks? Do you want to hear how good I am? This is absolute proof I should not be on this show. I am making myself look worse by the second. I didn't have a quarterback, so I tried to go pick up Sam Ellinger. Who picked up Sam Ellinger so I couldn't? Did you need him? Did you even play him?
It's a dynasty league.
Probably
No.
not.
Just picked him up.
And I tried to pay like $5, and I still didn't get him. That's the first time I've ever tried to put money on somebody, and I still didn't get him because you bet you did like 8, and I was like, well, maybe you should tell me that next time so I can put more money in than you. So that happened. I didn't get him, and then I was on like Saturday, and I was like, oh crap, I don't have a quarterback. I have Jameis Winston and Jordan Love and Justin Herbert's on a bye. So then I was like, well, shoot, I'm gonna go get Andy Dalton. Do you know who went and picked up Andy Dalton? Sean. Sean, did you even play Andy Dalton? I'm just really curious.
It gets better.
Oh, it gets better. So
you tried to get Ellinger, and
Yep.
Sid picked him up and put him on the bench.
Yep.
And then you tried to go get Dalton,
Yep.
and Sean took him and left him on the bench.
I'm not sure, but I don't think he needed to play him. He probably just watched this show and heard us talking about Andy Dalton and went and grabbed him. So then it was Saturday because I was texting Cindy. I'm like, because this is a dynasty league, the only starting quarterback is PJ Walker. That is the only starting quarterback on the waiver wire. So I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm gonna have to go pick up PJ Walker. Do you think I picked him up? No, I must have like rage quit out of the app and never put in for it. And then Sunday comes, the games start, and I'm like, oh shoot, I have Jameis Winston in at quarterback. So I played Jameis Winston as my quarterback on Sunday. That was a really good time. And I was like, well, forget it. Like, PJ Walker wouldn't score enough points anyway for it to matter. No, PJ Walker scored like 17 points. Like, that was much better than whatever I did. I still wouldn't have won. Regardless. But still, that was my fantasy weekend.
And rant.
Wow.
And not going into Doomsday weekend where all my players are on a bye. So,
You should have opened the show with that story, Ash. Everyone watching would have felt better about whatever possibly could have happened to them this
I'm
week.
like crying. I'm laughing.
David, how do you feel about Jared Goff?
He
going forward?
stinks. Jared Goff stinks. Especially without Hawkinson.
I have not been a believer in Goff all year. I mean, their offense was looking great, and over the last couple of weeks, it has not looked great. They have so many injuries over there. I think that's the one knock you could have for the Hawkinson trade is why would you trade one of your many weapons when none of your weapons stay healthy? But I'm not a believer in Goff. He has an extremely talented offense, so he's going to get his numbers. It's not something that I would bank on long term. And let's see, who are they playing this week? It's Detroit.
I just had it pulled up because I was looking at Goff points the last few weeks. They have they play Green Bay, and then they play Chicago, and then they play the Giants and Buffalo. So their schedule kind
So
of
they're on a bye this week. Then no,
flip flops between
because Green Bay's on a bye this week, aren't they?
no, they're not.
Oh, just kidding. Sorry, I'm off then.
The Lions already had their bye. It was
Okay.
week 6.
So I think Jared Goff is going to be coming back to reality. I think he got a little fairy tale to start the season of what Jared, and that's not who he is going forward. So that's my take. We got a bunch of questions popping in, so we're going to kind
Wow, that
of
was
move
such
along.
a good take.
Well, you took 10 minutes to answer. It kind of took everybody's time. So.
Well, you know what? It was enjoyable for everybody.
Nathan said, personally, I would have kept Kelsey and Andrews, ? I wouldn't have. I would have traded Andrews to try and improve somewhere else because you got Kelsey. You're never going to start Andrews.
I think he was talking about that other guy, though. He could have started both, couldn't
Yeah.
he? Because it was a
Oh,
tight
talking
end.
about the other-
gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought you
And
were
that's
talking-
exactly what we were talking about with that other trade where you're running back heavy, wide receiver poor, use a running back to get a receiver. He was tight end rich, needed a receiver. So always plug the holes in your lineup.
Yeah. Nathan said, how should I approach the Chargers situation? Michael is out a bit. Keenan isn't 100%. And I have JB, Joey Burrow. Should I, what JB?
On the Chargers.
Unless he means Josh Palmer.
I think JP instead of JB.
Maybe. I don't know. Should I look to trade? I guess I'm not too sure what you mean completely, Nathan. Please reiterate in the comments. I'll come back to it. We've got a lot.
Keenan Allen is the biggest, one of my biggest frustrations in fantasy this year.
He's going to get healthy eventually. Trust Keenan. He's very good at receiving.
If he doesn't play this week, I'm absolutely screwed. I need him to play this week.
The only thing Keenan Allen is better at than being an NFL wide receiver is being a injured NFL wide receiver.
Okay. Lincoln came back and said, should I put $40 on Brock Wright or more? I want to stash and flip Brock. Dude, I think whatever you can afford to pay for him, where it's not all of your fab, it's absolutely worth it because of stated previously in the show. Anthony, what's up, Mr. Fingers? Sorry, we're just not getting to you. Parker asked, trade Najee and JT for Eckler in a PPR redraft. Yes,
I wouldn't
do it.
But I'll cede to the Steelers expert.
That's why I
But
was doing
I
this.
still think Najee
and
and
then answered.
JT. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was doing this. Look. And then I answered, yes, trade. Yes, do it. I would trade. JT
You love
looks,
Eckler.
I think JT looks bad. I think Najee looks bad. I think Eckler looks good. Give me that guy.
Hurt,
Especially-
healthy.
Who?
Najee and JT.
Yeah, he's saying Najee and JT are hurt and Eckler's healthy.
Hurt,
I
So
mean,
that too.
Healthy.
Sure.
But when those two aren't hurt, they look a lot better than they do right now. And even when they're hurt, their combined production is still going to be on par with Eckler. So it depends on the rest of your roster, I
I was
guess.
going to say, it depends on what you have for running backs. Because if you're giving away 2 running backs for 1, who else do you have to play? Because I know, like, in most leagues that I'm in, I couldn't give up 2 for 1 because I don't have enough depth to be able to.
Yeah, I mean,
do
we're
that.
8 weeks in. Najee hasn't put up 14 points in a single week. Time to move on.
Yeah.
Lincoln
I'm
said
a Debbie Downer when it comes to the Steelers.
he's a few minutes behind, but likely was drafted in the 14th round. Figured he was drafted. I'm saying now that TJ is gone, that offense that looks different now.
Talking about
because of Goff. I think it's going to look worse.
For
though,
Goff, yeah. You
because
took
TJ's
away one
gone.
of his weapons.
Goff has not been a believer in Goff this year. Oh, Goff hasn't been a believer in Goff this year. Gotcha. It was combined on those ones. Got me confused. I agree. In our league, there are not many good options for quarterback. Oh, Justin Herbert. I ride out Justin Herbert. I got Herbert. I don't think you're ever. He's just a guy that
Yeah.
You
We
ride
just
with.
had some like meh weeks, but
you're good, Nathan.
They have been decimated by injury. There's a difference between coaching inadequacies and talent levels and teams just being hurt. You as a Baltimore Ravens fan should know that.
Wow.
Yeah, he said he's just not sold on the Chargers offense. I understand it.
They've been very hurt, though.
I believe in the Herbert. I think he's the top 5 talent in the league at the quarterback position.
The man broke his ribs against Kansas City, and Patrick Mahomes ripped his heart out. You know, give the kid some time to get his stuff together. And his top 2 wide receivers have been hurt. When did Keenan go out?
Week 1.
Yeah, Keenan hasn't played.
So he has not had a single week that he's had both, I don't think.
Yeah.
Nathan said strike 1, David. That's correct. You're correct.
Go ahead. You're good.
No, I was just going to say I agree. I think Gerald Everett's solid at tight end, pass catcher. Josh Palmer's looking really good. He's still got Eckler out of the backfield. I think he's going to be just fine. He might not be putting up the Josh Allen numbers or the Herbert of last year numbers. He's still a top 10 fantasy quarterback, even with all those injuries, I think. I just don't think he's somebody you move on from.
No.
And then Sean said, what should I do if someone offers me George Pickens for Adam Thielen?
Absolutely take that.
Smash.
All day,
I process that
every day,
trade.
twice on Sundays.
I would process that trade so fast, so they couldn't take it back.
So here's the thing. So now look at those. After trade deadline, George Pickens loses Chase Claypool. That's a bump. Adam Thielen gains TJ Hawkinson. That's a knock.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they were similar before, or even if Thielen was ahead, after the trade deadline, that's a big flip.
Here is the thing, though. On the flip side of that, I brought this up last week, I believe. People talk about, vacated targets all the time. Yes, now that Claypool's gone, that means more opportunity for the other pass catchers in the offense. However, when weapons continue to decrease and Najee is not producing, and the Steelers' offensive coordinator is a second grader sniffing glue, from what I hear, I don't know. I have a source inside the Steelers organization. He's not sold on the offensive coordinator. Apparently, they run the same 3 plays all the time. Now, when you take away one of the other weapons on the field, is that going to hurt Pickens or help Pickens? I personally think it's going to help him because I do think Pickens got that dog in him.
I was going to say, Pickens got that dog.
He will go get it. But I will defer to Sid on that specific counter argument.
I agree. I think I'm just hoping now that Claypool's gone, Pickens gets more of a role outside of just the sideline pass threat. Like, that's all we've done with him so far. He hasn't done anything but a sideline, either comeback or fade, and that's it. Get him over the middle of the field. Chase was doing it. Chase caught some over the middle of the field. I scream it you guys are with me when I watch Steelers games. Get the ball over the middle of the field.
Wish I wasn't.
George Pickens, if he can do that, you are absolutely right. He got that dog in him. He's going to
They should just let Deontay do that because he's wide receiver number 1 and he's very good at the football.
No, he's going to stay outside and do his little comeback route and then act like he's a beast. But Freiermuth and Pickens in the middle of the field, that's what we need going forward. Hopefully it happens.
Y'all never let me say that Claypool went to the Bears and have my moment, so that's really sad. Anyway, we kind of touched on it
there. Nathan, I do want to address your question.
Nathan.
Sid, can you please skip down to Trevor's question before his trade gets pulled back?
Hey guys, I just got offered Austin Eckler for Amari Cooper and Ramondre Stevenson. Am I missing something? This is a steal. All right. Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah. Except.
Obviously, we always say it depends on your rosters. But if you can get Austin Eckler for the 2 of them, I love Ramondre. I drafted him in every redraft league. I've been riding high with him all year. He's killing it. There is a clock on that because it's Bill Belichick. He will go back to a committee. Bill Belichick is never going to feature a number one superstar back that he then has to pay a lot of money to. He's not going to let it happen. So if you can make that move, I say absolutely before the guy takes it back or gal, do it. But what do you think, guys?
100%.
Oh yeah, I would accept
100%.
that super fast. And if I was the commissioner, I would like process that for you real quick, so they can't take it back. No vetoes, nothing. Like that's going right through.
These next two kind of
No, we want to skip this one.
they kind of mesh. What does Foreman look like for you guys going forward? And then Parker said in the trade with Najee and JT, he also has Deontay Foreman and Nyheim Hines. Hines is not going to be able to start for a couple weeks. You just want to see what he can do in the offense before you like let him go. But going back to last week, when I said
City's been waiting all week to talk about Foreman, and I've been dreading all weekend talking about Foreman.
pretty sure we had a conversation last week about Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard, and I said Deontay Foreman looks like a running back, an NFL running back.
Which I never argued.
Chuba doesn't, and you said, well, why doesn't he get the ball? Doesn't matter. He got the ball now. Balled out.
Well, only because Chuba was so hurt, even though you said he wasn't that hurt.
I didn't. He did.
You said
did.
that he could have went back in, but obviously he couldn't.
What did I tell you?
Very
What did I
hurt.
tell you? I felt like Chuba getting the start was the team giving him the respect as being the senior member of that running back room.
I don't remember that conversation.
I really do think that was what they did. And obviously he got a little nicked up. He had to come out of the game. Foreman goes in. Foreman had a great game last week. This week, Chuba's still nicked up. All right, no, just sit. No,
He was
you're
so
good.
good. He could have went back in last week, and now all of a sudden he's so hurt he can't even play in the game.
If you
I just
saw,
feel like this
if-
conversation is dead because Chuba got hurt, which then put the conversation to rest. And of course, I never said Foreman didn't look good or wasn't going to be good. I said
Yeah, you
the
did.
team. I never said that.
Yeah, you said he had one good run. Otherwise, he wasn't good.
I didn't say he
That's what
didn't
you
play
said.
that much better than Chuba because that's not wrong.
and basically, if I'm Chuba, I ride this injury as long as I can because I know I can't compete with what Foreman just did.
I didn't argue that Foreman wasn't better. I was arguing that the team was choosing Chuba over Foreman. But now they can't because he's hurt anyway.
I agree. I agree with you on
Thank
that.
you.
I interpreted it differently. I thought that they were just giving respect to Chuba, like, yo, bro, this is your last shot to prove that you can be the guy here because you didn't really do that every time CMC was hurt. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, Chuba's not getting another start.
No.
Yeah, so
Chuba's dead.
So based on that, knowing he has Deontay and Hines behind Najee and JT, would you trade Najee and JT for Eckler? Because that's what that's circling
I
back
don't
to.
like Hines.
I do think that Hines is going to be kind of irrelevant in this discussion of starters. But so it's Foreman, Cooper Stevenson.
So he's trying to trade Najee and JT for Eckler, and then he'll have Eckler and Foreman.
And
And
then
Hines
would
is
be
your only other guy.
Mm-hmm.
Eckler, Nyheim Hines,
I don't know that I would
and
do
Foreman.
it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with that. Now, don't get too excited about Foreman. Chuba is going to come back. Chuba is the pass catching back.
So then all he has is one running back.
So then so to me, okay, this is because you're starting Najee and JT, right?
Mhm.
Maybe Foreman. So instead, you're going to start Eckler and Foreman. So basically, Eckler right now is going to outscore JT, I think, for the rest of the season.
Yep.
Deontay Foreman.
Foreman's going to outscore Najee.
That's what I'm saying.
You
And
think
even when Chuba comes back,
Chuba comes back, you think
I
so
think
too?
he's got to. I mean, Najee hasn't scored 14 points yet in a single game.
Yeah,
Not
that's
one.
true.
So, and look, I got a
And
Najee
then
jersey
you
right
have, and
behind
then
me.
you have Nyheim Hines for, in case of emergency, break glass.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
Hines is
Yeah,
going to
I
get his
guess.
touches. He is going to get his catches. So, I mean,
Maybe
I
go get
like
James
I
Cook.
like this. I'm good with it.
Yeah, I think maybe go get James Cook as a backup, just in case.
And then
That's
what? Hold Hines and James Cook?
Yeah, just to see which one is the guy. Because I think they like James Cook. I mean, he was a second-round pick. They're not going to move on from him that fast.
That's fair.
And then Nathan said, what about Eno Benjamin now that Connor is back? Anybody want to take on that?
I was never big on Eno.
I don't like Eno Benjamin. Every time I play Eno Benjamin, he doesn't do anything. Every time I put him on my bench, he goes absolutely off. Just
That's a spite answer.
well,
from
he's
Ash.
not consistent enough for me to like him. Consistency. It's not there.
I think this is going to be a two-headed monster for the Cardinals. They're not going to want to run James Conner as much because he is fragile. He gets hurt a lot. Eno Benjamin, I think he's shown signs of being a good running back. I think the Cardinals' offense is very much a cluster, fill in the blank. So, I think Benjamin has fantasy relevance. If you need him, if you need a fill-in guy, I think Eno's going to be. He's a pass catcher. He looks good at the goal line, and he's very much going to get his touches, even though Connor's back. He won't be the full-time guy because Connor's back, but that Arizona Cardinal offense is a coin flip as to what's going to be going
on that offense besides
Anthony Handy. I'm taking this trade all day, every day, twice on Sunday. Arnold was a man. All right. Arnold is a grown man. He faced down some trials and tribulations in his life. But for Daniel Craig, 007, and Jet Li,
Yep.
Arnold got to go, bro. Arnold got to go.
Moving on from that. If you have Chuba in your IR, I like that trade actually a lot better now.
So
I know that you have.
So to circle back to the trade, JT and Najee, he's already got Chuba on his IR spot or in his IR spot. So he's already got Chuba and Deontay, so he's got both running backs there too.
So even if one did end up, yeah.
I like it. Nathan asked, how many plays does Dallas run?
More than Baltimore?
Strike two.
Not always the smartest play, but they do run more. Kellen Moore can't ever choose the right one, but there are a few in there.
Anthony knows that Pickens got that dog in him. He said, "Go Dogs."
He knows about dogs.
And then Trevor.
We already answered this one.
Okay.
That's the one we skipped too.
Oh, you're right.
Everyone's trying to dump Eckler off. What's up with that?
007-ish. Is it worth trading James Robinson for Cordero Patterson? I think so, absolutely. Cordero Patterson is going to be the guy when he comes back, and James Robinson, I'm not sure will ever be the guy in New York. Michael Carter's just been there longer, and he doesn't look terrible. James Robinson will get his touches, but Cordero Patterson, you know what you're getting. James Robinson is very much a question mark in there.
I
David?
agree with that.
Did you hear that one, David? Can you hear us?
No. I was having technical issues.
Okay. Is it worth trading James Robinson for Cordero Patterson?
No.
That's
James
sarcasm.
Robinson is going to have an established role. Cordero Patterson is the featured back over there. But once he goes back in, the injury risk, how old he is, his usage, it's a huge gamble. I go with the feature back with minimal target share or snap share. You got like 4 running backs over there, all nipping at each other's heels, and then you throw Cordero back into it. They do run the ball a lot. I heard they're going to line up Pitts at fullback and dress Drake London as a radio clown. But yeah, I would stay away from Atlanta's running backs, to be honest. It's no.
Right, goodbye.
That was a whole lot of sarcasm for anybody that doesn't know David.
I was like, he's not serious right now, is he? At first, I was like, wait a minute. And then I was like, oh, okay, he's not serious. You had me for a second.
If Lamar can line up as a running back, why in the world has Atlanta not tried Pitts at fullback? Just saying.
Well, the Eagles lined up Devontae Smith at tight end. Did you see that?
And Amari Cooper threw an interception.
It's-
First pass
Some
ever.
people just aren't good at other things.
Watching that, whoever was announcing that game was like, and that's why wide receivers don't play quarterback. I was like, yep. you should leave. He's like, you should leave that job to the quarterback. I don't know which one it was that said it, but I'm like, absolutely. That's
Sorry,
terrible.
Amari, you ain't no CMC, bruh. Nathan said, should I trade or should I make an offer for Buffalo or San Fran's defense for the Philly defense?
No.
Philly
No.
has an easy schedule. Those other teams have
Yeah.
harder schedules.
Nothing else to say. Ash killed it.
Zach Niff Productions with My God, I'm Popular Today. Next trade offer was Chris Kirkpatrick and Xtina for Jordan Knight and Taylor Swift. They even offered to throw in Rick Ashley.
You can't say no to Xtina.
XT, yep. Thank you.
Xtina
See,
sold it for me.
This is why Ash is my person, okay? You don't, no. Xtina. All day, every day.
All right. Randy Miller asked, would you trade Higgins and Herbert for Swift? Is this Khalil Herbert or Justin Herbert? Out of curiosity. Because if it's Khalil Herbert, absolutely not. What?
That's got to be Khalil.
Absolutely not. Khalil Herbert is going to take that backfield from David Montgomery, and he looks.
It is Khalil.
he
So,
looks
yeah,
very
yeah,
good.
no, don't do it. Don't do it. I agree with Sid. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Yep, no, I agree. Yeah, I think Herbert is a stud. Swift is injury prone. T. Higgins is the number one receiver in the Bengals offense for the next 4 weeks at least. So you're giving up a number one receiver and Khalil Herbert, who I think is going to be he's like 7th in the league in rushing yards right now.
Yeah.
Like as the backup.
And he's gonna keep getting it. They promised
Yeah.
to go with the hot hand, and for once, the coaching staff actually did what they said they were going to do, and he is getting increased opportunities, and he is producing. I
Right.
do think he's going to take that starting job from Montgomery.
Anthony
You
says
said
his
you were
rush-
going to trade away T. Higgins, and it hurt my heart.
Anthony said his roster's gonna be so sick. And Nathan agrees,
It
don't make the
is.
trade.
As long as you come down here every Tuesday and run the trades by the expert panel here. I mean, you're sitting on Daniel Craig, Jet Li, and Xtina. I'd play for your team.
All right, one last trade was made, and Ash really wanted to get into it and talk about what the outcomes would be. What trade did you want to talk about?
That I made?
No, in the NFL.
Oh, I was like, I traded Najee for ETN, and I feel like I'm winning that. But that's a totally different conversation.
There you go.
Super
Yep.
C had a question.
Who are your top 3 waiver ads? Is Ingram up there?
Generally, we do an entire waiver segment. We also do a report card segment where we talk about all of our waiver picks from the previous week. Today was a special day. We've been having lots of fun. Do you guys just want to run through waivers super quick?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that works. Just here, go through yours, and I'll throw in anybody that I can add because I know you got your list up right there.
Say that again.
I would say, yeah, go through. You want to run through your list, and then I'll go through mine and see if there's anybody I can add to it.
Okay.
PJ Walker is probably
every-
available. Just saying.
Cooper Rush. Somebody block Nathan.
That's a strike for you, Nathan.
All right, sir. Waiver picks. At quarterback. I was a week late on Mariota. Cincinnati did a good job on him. That team is gonna keep running, and this week they're going up against the Chargers, who are last in the league in yards per carry. Their next 2 games after that, they're gonna go play Carolina again when Mariota had his season high, and then they go play Chicago. Justin Fields is who everybody's talking about. If he's out there, sure, go get him, but I don't think he will be. The one thing I would caution you on with Justin Fields, he's got a couple great matchups. Miami, Detroit, Atlanta, come playoff time, Philadelphia, Buffalo, and Detroit. So if you're going to be relying on this quarterback and it's not just a streamer, I would be concerned about Justin Fields in the playoffs. Unless you make it to the championship, not getting any points from your quarterback. Everybody's talking about PJ Walker. I'd be very careful there. Their schedule sucks. He's going to have a rough go for the rest of the year. Running backs. My number one has to be Jeff Wilson. He's stepping in behind Mostert. Mostert has only played one healthy season in his entire career. That man has been playing on borrowed time all year. That's why I helped Chase Edmonds for as long as I did in numerous leagues. Two would have to be Kenyon Drake because we don't know if Gus is going to be playing this week. And if Gus is not playing, Justice Hill will get a slightly increased role, but then they're just going to go right back to the Kenyon Drake show. But without their pass-catching weapons, the entire offense might stall. So be afraid. Nathan. Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds is also in there. We kind of already touched on that earlier, but I think that him going into that absolute dumpster fire of a running back room, it's kind of like what we were just talking about with Brock Wright. It's not every day that you get a player who has a legitimate shot to become the number one. So when you do come across that, it's worth a look. But the Denver coaching staff drives me up the wall, and I trust nothing they say. Chuba. Like I said, temper your expectations on Deonta Foreman going forward, especially once Chuba's back. He's not going to give you what he just gave us this last week for the rest of the season. However, I do think he is going to be the first and second down back. Chuba Hubbard is going to be the pass catcher. It is going to be a committee. However, if Chuba, let's see what he's at 57% right now. If he misses another week, he's going to be real cheap. The stashes: Kyron Williams, Isaiah Pacheco, Rachaad White. Same thing we've been talking about for the last couple weeks. Stash those guys if you can because they're all one step away. I saw Sid listen to me and when he picked up JaMycal Hasty in one of our leagues, he is also one step away. Dearness Johnson, one step away. Oh, wait, no, they didn't trade Kareem Hunt. Jerks. All right, wide receivers. Devin Duvernay, 49%. He's at New Orleans this week. If Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman don't play, he is going to get a lot of opportunity. Josh Palmer, 36%, at Atlanta. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, a lot of opportunities over there. Rondell Moore, 49%, but he is going to be playing Seattle, who has been a surprisingly solid defensive team, especially against the pass. Rondell Moore for the rest of the season, I think, is a solid option. However, I'd be worried to start him this week against Seattle. All right, Ellinger. So the Indy wide receivers, the reason why I'm going back to Ellinger, he put up 7.5 points on 17 for 23 passing, 200 yards, 0 touchdowns, 6 carries for 15 yards, 0 touchdowns. We were all super excited about his rushing capabilities. However, he stepped in and played this game like a veteran NFL quarterback. He targeted his receivers and then his tight ends and then his running backs. He did not lean on the rushing. He wasn't bailing in the pocket. He came in and played like an NFL quarterback. I do like Sam Ellinger going forward. However, the offensive coordinator is now out. I think Indy has a bad schedule. I think he is going to struggle. However, I do think that opens the door for Pierce to be what we thought he could be 2-3 weeks ago. He was getting the most yards per target out of all the receivers. He was getting the deep looks. And Michael Pittman, he got the most targets. I was very surprised by the way Ellinger played this game, but I think Alec Pierce is back on the board as a potential fill-in through your bye weeks. Tight ends, Greg Dulcich, Isaiah Likely, Evan Ingram, Barack Wright. In that order, remove Isaiah Likely if Mark Andrews plays. I do like Evan Ingram against Las Vegas because Las Vegas is also a dumpster fire. Brock Wright, complete unknown. This is very much like when we were talking about Mike Boone 4 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. Nobody knows anything outside of the Detroit faithful. He had one good game as a fill-in against Dallas. I'm sorry, a backup against Dallas. Outside of that, that's what I got for you guys. Sorry, that was very long-winded. It was supposed to be short.
That's what I was thinking as you're going through it. But you pretty much hit them all. Said Josh Palmer. The only one I didn't hear, did you say Ronnie Rivers?
No, I don't believe it. And you know what? I am not. I was watching that situation going into the trade deadline today, and the projections for Kyren and Ronnie Rivers, they weren't changing. There was no buzz around these guys because I know in my heart that the Rams made a play for Kareem Hunt and failed. I do think there's a very small opportunity that they reconcile with Cam Akers, and if they don't, Darrell Henderson and Kyren Williams will be the way to go going forward. I think the rookie. I think Kyren's the way to go there.
So the only problem I have with Kyren is he's like 185 pounds or something like that, 190 pounds. Not a big guy, and he ran like a 4.6. So he's not big and he's not fast. I don't believe the hype there. Ronnie Rivers got the bulk of the carries over Darrell Henderson.
They hate Darrell.
Exactly. So if they hate Darrell, they hate Cam.
They hate
Kyren Williams.
They hate everybody.
If they hate Darrell, they hate Cam. Kyren Williams can't do it because he's not big and he's not fast. Let's give Ronnie Rivers a shot.
You draft somebody who's not
Oh
big
my
and not
God.
fast.
Sean McVay hates running backs.
Yes.
You don't say. That's literally the only name I could think of that you didn't hit. I like Likely a lot. But yeah, I mean, Paris Campbell might be the only other one as well. You like Alec Pierce.
And the only reason I lean towards Pierce over Campbell, who is also a solid option, was because of the depth of target. Pierce was getting the longer looks,
Gotcha.
which that was the only scale tipper there for me.
So we're gonna go ahead and just hit these last couple questions and call it a night. Would y'all trade Joe Mixon for Amon-Ra St. Brown? I think a full team breakdown would be needed if you have some other stud running backs maybe, but David hit it earlier. Mixon has a great running schedule coming up, so don't get rid of Mixon unless you absolutely have stacked running backs or need a receiver for some reason, and Amon-Ra's been hurt. So I think it's a consensus to keep Mixon.
I adore Amon-Ra. He is super talented, but with the injuries and stuff with him lately, I wouldn't give up a solid running back for a wishy-washy wide receiver.
Yeah.
Kickers, Nathan, just look for a good offense or
Cade
playing
York.
a bad defense. That's kind of the only way I do it. I don't look for
Cade
like
York.
big names. She's literally, they're on a bye, and she's saying Cade York.
Get Cade York
Just look for
moving forward.
Just look for good offenses versus bad defense each week. That's kind of how I roll. This last big long one, full PPR, running backs JT, Kenneth Walker, Foreman, Connor, Brian Robinson stacked. Wide receivers, Metcalf, Keenan Allen, Thielen, Cooks, tight ends, Higbee, 3-5 record. What kind of trade should I do to turn the season? I think Walker's going to turn the season. Maybe trade JT for a bigger name because I think Walker and Foreman could be studs going forward. Sorry, I'm just going to try and rattle these off. Please feel free to input yourselves if you have any.
We covered this earlier. I very much agree with Sid that Walker and Foreman could be what turns your team around. I'm in a league where I drafted Walker and Stevenson. I'm starting in our family league. We have extra flex spots for running backs and wide receivers. I'm starting 5 running backs at this point. But I would be very nervous about Keenan Allen. Thielen has been looking better. Cooks is stuck, so we'll see what Houston does. But I think you could package those guys, at least one running back and a couple receivers to upgrade at wide receiver. Maybe go for a higher tier, and or I don't hate Higbee. I would target the wide receiver position. You've got 3 absolute solid starters at running back. You've got a little breathing room. So I would package some receivers and a running back and go for wide receiver.
And then one quick one. Do I trade Fournette for JT? I would say no. I think they're similar there. And then this last one, and then we're going to call it a day. Hi, I love the stream. I have a question. Team is Justin Fields, Eckler, Henry, Devontae at receiver, D-Hop, Kadarius Toney, tight end Taysom Hill. I have a choice of trading D-Hop for Chubb. Should I do it? It's a PPR. I personally would rather try to trade D-Hop for a better quarterback or a better tight end. Eckler and Henry are stacked running backs. And beyond D-Hop, your receivers are kind of suspect. We don't know what Tony's going to be in Kansas City yet, so I don't want to move on and put all my eggs in that basket just yet. Eckler and Henry are going to be just fine going forward as your running backs, so you don't need another running back. Try and get another quarterback, I think, is where you could improve the most. That was on Facebook, David, if you're looking for it.
I'm reading it right now. Go ahead, Ash.
I just wouldn't get rid of D-Hop because Devontae is not great. Kadarius Toney, you have no idea what he's going to be, and your tight end just stinks. So I would try to get either. I would drop Taysom Hill and see who's on the waiver, honestly. But
this is very similar to some of the other situations we've been looking at tonight, wherein you have a trading chip, but you're trading it for the wrong piece. Chubb is not what you need. I agree with Sid. I think Justin Fields is going to have a rougher go the rest of the year. I don't think he's the truth like a lot of people are out there clamoring for. Tight end, quarterback. I wouldn't give up D-Hop with your receiver situation as it is unless you're getting an absolute, a Travis Kelce. A Josh Allen, unless you're upgrading your other positions to that level, I wouldn't give up D-Hop because he's all you have right now.
I agree. That's going to do it for us, guys. We stayed on a little longer than we would like to. That had a lot of questions today. Didn't even able to get up to all our segments. Appreciate all the questions, though. We love that. That makes it fun for us. So we're going to be out of here for tonight. You can catch us next week on Tuesday, same time. If you have any questions, follow the Let's Talk Football page and drop questions in there. We'll be happy to answer. Let's Talk Football. It's on Facebook. And yeah, just like the page, comment, make a post. We'll definitely answer any questions we can. We're on there all week. But that's going to be it for us tonight. We appreciate you guys jumping in. We will speak at you guys later. Once again, this is my lovely wife, Ash. My name's Sid. That's David Wright over there. Appreciate you guys. I still can't believe Steelers traded freaking Chase Claypool.